Welcome back. This is the Marketer of the Day podcast. Jason A. Wood is here, and he's the CEO of Specificity. They are a cutting-edge digital marketing firm, and they are rewriting the rule book for strategy. Now, Jason is a trailblazer in the world of digital marketing. He's all about that disruptive approach. He's a sales visionary. So we're going to be finding out about Jason's marketing strategies, his successes and failures, what has him excited. So Jason, glad to be speaking with you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you too. And so we gave a little bit of an intro about you, but as far as in elevator pitch terms, right? What has you excited and what do you have going on that should be exciting us too?
Yeah, so the evolution of tech stacks has me really excited right now. Not just ours, but others I'm seeing around. I'm finally seeing some traction get taken with the market about this whole audience identification piece. I mean, big tech has gone all in on their data, and it's garbage. It's not garbage, but it's not nearly what they claim it is. The iOS update killing app tracking data, and there's just so much waste in ad tech and social media right now because of the data volatility. So I'm loving seeing a lot of tools come out, some in the AI space, some in the building addressable audiences outside of the ad tech space, like we're doing at Specificity. And I think that's a positive step in the right direction for our industry.
And that sounds wonderful. And that's what they've always promised us, right? That you can just narrow down that exact customer and leave everyone else alone and just get your exact people dialed in. And so, so how do we get there? Like you said, that kind of what social media has done is kind of garbage, but then when you kind of take it in your own hands and use some of these tools, these tech stacks on your own, then you can get things figured out. And so, what do you do along those lines? Like, what have you figured out? What can you share with us?
Well, I mean, we figured out a lot. I mean, we've been at this for quite a while. One thing I would tell you is that I don't trust any of these platforms to build the audience in. Whether you're talking about, programmatic and DSP, whether you're talking about connected TV platforms, whether you're talking about social media platforms, you go in and build these audiences, and they are not what they used to be. I mean, you want to target something simple on Meta's platform with, say, Facebook and Instagram, and you just want homeowners. A significant percentage of that audience won't own the property they live in. So it's all weighted and contextual data now, and it's all this. And they claim it's not, as they remove, literally hundreds of thousands of targeting selects out of their platform. The big tech industry has grossly underplayed the net negative effect the iOS 14.5 update had on their ability to, in a creepy way, track our data. So what we're doing is we're building these audiences outside of the ad tech universe in the data market. And instead of going through, the second problem in our market is these activation platforms where you go in and you say, okay, I've built this data set, here's profiles. Or we were just talking to a client who gets, insurance claim profiles in the healthcare space, and they want to activate the audience to publish, ads to it. You go into those platforms, and half of them are being sued right now for such a large percentage of bot traffic because they grab the BIDO, they grab every made possible. That's how they monetize these mobile ad IDs and volume. And then you got an audience that's 20 or 25 or 35% bot traffic. And it really has a net negative effect because the analytics that come out of those campaigns, they're just not impactful anymore. So we solve that problem by building the audiences and activating ourselves. And we just eliminate the ability for these nefarious players. And in our industry, it's kind of counterintuitive to say it because in most industries, the bigger the companies, the better the credibility. In our industry, what we're finding, what I think a lot of people are finding, the bigger the entity, the more disparate their data sets are and the more errant their data is.
And I can see how that could be where Meta has grown to be so huge. I don't even know, can't even begin to imagine the amount of junk on there, right? The amount of bot traffic. And when they're trying to link up this person's Facebook account and are they a homeowner, and they do merge all these tables and all this big data, it boggles my mind how any of that would even make sense or even, line up the way that it should. And so you're saying that it's not a magic bullet. You can't just say, hey, Meta, can I trust you? And can I just target the homeowners? You say you need to kind of take it into your own hands and maybe work with a company such as yours, such as Specificity. And so what kind of stories like that do you have to unpack for us? You mentioned the insurance a little bit, but do you have a fun story to share with us to give us an idea of some company came to you, they had a problem, you worked your magic, you made things super rosy. What do you have to tell us?
Well, we've got dozens of stories like that are current campaigns. We've got hundreds over the last few years. I mean, when you focus your digital marketing strategy by taking the first step intelligent, which is that audience ID piece, we say this all the time. The biggest sequitur to conversion is not creative. Despite all the agencies monetizing creative, it is accuracy in the data. You can take the very best branded creation or creative in the world, the dopest, slickest video, whatever you want, to an audience that's not in the market and doesn't care about your product, and you'll make no money. Conversely, you could take a horribly produced piece of creative to an audience of high intent buyers, you make some money. So the goal being to marry the two together, the good creative with the right audience. So we've been in, like, the home services business comes to mind. I've got a lot of clients in that space, solar and windows. And this data accuracy issue really speaks to ROI in these campaigns when you have such a obvious baseline set of criteria that needs to be present for those widows and maids to be worth the time to serve the ads to. Things like, if you're going to sell high-end windows, you got to own your house. And if you're selling $80,000 window jobs, that house can't be a, dilapidated piece of junk. It's got to be a high-end house that, say 500K in value or more at that price point. There's all these variables come in, but we come into like a window company here in the Gulf Coast. This comes to mind. And we're looking at their data. We pull their data from their campaigns. They're running Meta. They got it through an agency, and they're looking at these data, the sets that they had activated and then published to Meta, and then the audience that they built inside of Meta. So we're looking at this and deciphering this, and we're seeing that a third of the traffic that they're driving, people that are actually clicking, don't own the house they live in. So that just eliminates it. So look, we said, look, we're gonna half your ad budget. We're gonna cut it in half, but we're going to point it at this audience. And the net result of that campaign was about 8 times the ROI, not on their dollar. It was way higher than that. 8 times what they were getting with their marketing spend with less spend. So they spent less dollars all in. And that's the power of accurate data. When you know you're talking to the right audience, not only is your conversion model now making sense, but any analytics that come out of there that inform the brand, that inform the campaign on things like creative and calls to action and messaging and all these variables we love to test as marketers, now it's impactful. And it's not so much when, a third of your data set is not part of a high conversion or a high intent audience, so that you get these statistical anomalies that misinform your brand.
And I find that really interesting. I find that helpful that you're saying that. So like when we put out advertising, there's that tendency to just think about the creative. And you're saying that the audience is more important, and ideally to have good both, but that makes a lot of sense where, like, you think, okay, if someone doesn't want the $80,000 windows, or if they just haven't even heard of it before, are they really going to be convinced by a Facebook ad? Well, probably not, and vice versa, right? Like, you can probably have just an okay headline and video and landing page, but if they're actively looking for this and yours looks like the best solution, then you don't have to have it like 110% perfect. So I like that a lot. And then you're saying that when some of these companies are just kind of using what Meta gives them, then this audience is polluted, right? Where they're trying to they're like just agonizing about the conversion rate, the click-through rate, and it's like it'll never get past a certain point because it's just mixed in with all of this bad data. So that's why they kind of need your help. And so as far as so that's like a huge problem, right? In cleaning up your data, getting the right audience. And then when you work with these companies, is there like a common mistake, or do they all make the same mistake with their ad creatives or their landing pages? Like, do you just see like a recurring problem in your industry these days?
Yeah, I mean, it's when it comes to like some of the really mechanical pieces to marketing, we do see a lot of mistakes. You see a lot of companies that either they're an agency. We deal with clients that are usually using an agency, and we compete for that business. And what we see a lot of is in the sequencing and pacing on the ad spend. Everybody's so CPM focused, right? And the higher the CPM and the more CPMs we can sell, the better we do. Big tech set up that way. Agencies to interface, they take a 20% management fee, all that stuff. So it's baked into their model, into their profitability model, to go after enriched media. So if you're trying to run an awareness campaign, or if you're trying to drive a conversion funnel, and you're going after $6, $8, $10 CPMs all the time, you're wasting a ton of money when so many of those impressions need to be at that $2, $3 CPM level just for awareness, to then start to cycle in that enriched media, designed more for the conversion. So that's the sequencing the errors that we see all the time. And big brands that are spending 6 figures a month, and that's kind of the space we're living in. Those brands, I mean, that's millions of dollars. That is millions of dollars of wasted spend when you're spending all in on $8.50 CPM for a conversion funnel that requires 40 impressions to convert. 30 of those impressions should have come out of $3 CPM. It just should have been that way because the impact is the same. You rotate in the more enriched media, the more disparate ads that stand out better, that are banner, for example, or the better video platform for the conversion model. But to go all in and just have a monolithic approach in terms of where and how you're placing ads is an error we see a lot.
And I can see how that would happen if some company tries to do it themselves, or they try to like hire someone who's just kind of like doing it on the cheap, so to speak. Then there's not like they're not keeping up with what's current, and they're also just not really that detail oriented, right? They just hear, oh, okay, well, I should place in that, bid it at this, go call it a day. And so it makes a lot of sense how there's just like it's too easy to not know what you don't know, and just kind of not and wonder why like nothing's working, because you haven't applied all the steps. You've just looked at what's fun for you, or you just got like a base level of learning a few facts and just kind of went off to the races there. And so one thing that I know that you're passionate about and you like a lot is this whole idea of like incubating startups. So can you tell us about that and what that entails?
Yeah, I've got I would say, a unique perspective on technology, and that is that I don't like to marry technology. I like to date it. We will never build a self-serve platform, for example. I shouldn't say it. We will build a self-serve platform, but but the technology behind it will never be static. It'll never be you look at the trouble companies get into all the time because technology is evolving so fast, right? HubSpot. I mean, for those of us that are 30 and up, we remember HubSpot back in the day when they were a marketing conquest, go get your market type of platform. Well, now what are they? Now they're a CRM and a data pusher. That's what they are. Why? Because at the crux of their marketing toolbox was email marketing. And 7, 8 years ago, put-through rates and conversion rates died. I mean, on a vine almost with that type of email marketing. And so what we're doing is we always look for innovators in technology. We can take technology. We have taken technology that wasn't even designed for marketing and then repurposed it because we see a brilliant marketing application. So we like to get involved in those companies, fund out the continuation of the build out, take an equity position in them, help spin them off into their own thing, and have an exclusive right to sell the technology in the ad agency model. So it gives us a proprietary advantage, and it's great revenue for companies trying to scale, in their direction. So we love to get involved in startup, pre-IPO phase, ad tech companies and MarTech companies.
Wonderful. Well, I love your energy in all this, with the whole idea of just not staying comfortable and always being on the move and looking at the future, and some of these ideas of you're mentioning, right, of just like not being married to the technology. And we all have gotten at some point stuck in that way, or know someone like that, right? We know someone who's just like stuck on WordPress and everything's got to be Laravel or something like that. And you're saying that you shouldn't, it should be the other way around, right? Like the technology should serve you. And then there's some of these other situations where there's some startup and they have like a really great solution and they just don't see, but you see it, that they could be applying it in some other way to some other industry. And so with all these things that you've done and built and people that you've worked with, have there been any surprises that are worth mentioning? Like what has surprised you in your journey?
So the adoption rate of vernacular overusability in this market is absolutely insane. This company's about 3 years old. We decided we got our hands on some really fundamental proprietary technology in this audience ID piece. We feel it's an industry disruptor. We're disrupting the industry with it, and because of that, we took the company public. But I've been in this emerging tech space on the digital marketing ad tech space for 15 years. And what always happens in our industry, and AI is just a perfect example of it, is in our industry, vernacular trends and gets popular and adoption rates skyrocket 2 years before its functional usability. So you look at AI right now. You've got companies doing 9, 10 figures in revenue, leveraging artificial intelligence for optimization of ad tech campaigns. Seems like a smart thing. Where are you getting your data from? Supermetrics. Where are they getting it from? Google, YouTube, Meta. Get it from all these data sources that we know don't have accurate data. So you're feeding an AI algo really diluted data, or at least statistically errant data to a large enough degree that it can build rabbit holes for capital in terms of trying to chase conversion funnels that will just crush your money. So 10 months ago, all of our clients were talking about wanting to do it. Oh, we got to do this optimization. Now we're talking to CMOs that are like, yeah, no, we've been there. We've done that. So what we do in Specificity is just different, right? So we're building an AI ad tech. I mean, we're in AI. We see the usability of it. But to make it work, it's got to have smart data. And I don't mean kind of smart. It's got to have ironclad data. And you can't assume that AI will ever get to a place to take a B2C low-end consumer product and somehow learn from that how to deploy a seven-figure B2B product campaign. Like those two are so disparate that there's no corollary that's really true. So what's it going to find? It's going to find false corollaries. Well, demographically, income is this, so you need to go down that rabbit hole. And it just doesn't work that way. So we're building AI tools, but we're closing them off to the sandbox of our clients' audiences. So the market that our client wants to engage, we build AI. We're building an AI ad tech audience ID tool that will learn from your campaign about the audiences and the segments that you have pursued traditionally, want to pursue moving forward, that does and automates testing into new markets, new growth opportunities. And then as those tests start to take hold and build traction, moves money into those conversion funnels to grow businesses. But to think you're going to be successful leveraging that for a healthcare company because it learned from a car dealership or an auto group for marketing for over here, it's errant. And to feed it data coming out of big tech is just, it's a bad play. I mean, all of big tech is incentivized for CPM, as many CPMs as they can sell, cost per thousand impression. That runs counterintuitive to a strategy that narrowly defines a very high intent audience. They're just counterintuitive.
And it seems like this is a recurring theme, right? That you can have these amazing tools and this amazing process and this amazing solutions, but if it's a garbage in, garbage out situation, if you're feeding your AI bad data to run your ads, then it's kind of it's hurting you, right? It's like it's even worse than having no tool because it's sending you down off of these rabbit holes, and so we don't want that. And so there's many exciting problems to be solved, right? Like just even just earlier, I was moving like huge files to the cloud, and I was talking to Chat GPT, and imagine even telling yourself 5-10 years ago that some of these things were possible. Like you might not even have believed it. So imagine what we'll be able to do 5 and 10 years in the future. And so people are listening to this podcast who need your help, right? So how does somebody know if moving into the future and doing some of these amazing things that we're talking about, solving these big problems, how does somebody know if their company is a good fit for what you provide? And if they are, what's the next step? What's the call to action?
Yeah, so I mean, look, if you have a business or if you're marketing for a business in a competitive landscape and you're putting any significant money into ad tech, there's no doubt you need to use this type of approach. I don't care if your budget's $5,000 a month or $500K a month. You need to use this approach. At the very least, even in a smaller budget, that's not enough to where you're going to, 20x somebody's money. Audience is big enough. However, the learning that comes from better targeted audiences will better inform that marketing team to make better decisions moving forward to grow to that direction. There's no reason not to do it this way, especially with the availability of it. If marketers will just kind of get back, and that's the other thing. We're training a whole generation of marketers to be really good at algos. Problem is algos change all the time, right? They change all intentionally. So you're getting marketers really good at algos that are using data that's not real great. And that's not a sustainable strategy. So you can go to specificityinc.com and check out, there's a lot of links on there outside of our site to do homework on this. There's a form fill if you want to talk to my team. But I would say if you're spending 5, 10 or 15 or more thousand a month in digital marketing, you absolutely need this strategy. There's no doubt about it. It'll save you money and better inform your campaigns.
Wonderful. So that the magic number, the sweet spot, not required but ideal, is 5 to 15,000 per month ad spend. Then you need to be using
anything above 5, anything above 5K.
anything but above five, as you said, when you're working with these larger numbers, if your audience is not targeted, you're throwing away huge amounts of money. It really adds up once you get to that size. And so you need to go to specificityinc.com right now and do one of two things. If you're kind of not quite there yet, then go around and read and learn some of the stuff. But if you say, I'm tired of waiting, I'm tired of playing small, I need to get Jason and his team on this and get my ads dialed in and not keep wasting money on Meta's weird data, then go and find that button to schedule that call. And we'll see you at specificityinc.com. And as we're winding down our conversation here, Jason, it's fun to end on a unique note, right? To think about like a special quote or lesson that can help us out. So what comes to mind from you as far as a quote or lesson just to cap things off here?
Like a special quote.
It can be special or not special. Just what jumps out at you?
Well, for me, those who can do and those who can't teach. So understand, if you're a marketing student, everything you really need to know about marketing, you're going to learn in the field. You're not going to learn it in the classroom.
I love it. So get that on the job training, so to speak, or in the trenches, or whatever metaphor that you want to figure out, is learning and getting educated and learning how things are proper and clean and nice. That's a good starting point, but we need to get some of that blue collar action and go out there and run the ads and get down and dirty. And the very first step for that is by going to specificityinc.com and talk to Jason and his team and get this ad targeting figured out. So Jason, it's been wonderful speaking with you today.
Robert, thanks a lot for having me on, man. I greatly appreciate it.
Likewise.